Thank you.
Thank you. Am I on? I am on. Okay.
Big FAN listeners, are you both?
Oh, yeah.
I am.
Okay, who do you like listening to on the radio station?
I like Joey and Evan Roberts, but you know who I really like is Richard Neer. I think Richard delivers a nice, unbiased, reasonable approach that sometimes is a breath of fresh air. And I know other people feel that way as well.
And who don't you like on the radio station?
A certain man has become a little bit tedious to listen to at this point, but he will remain nameless.
Oh, all right. And Casey, how about you? Who do you like on the station?
I like Joe and Evan. I'm also a big Francesa guy.
Right into the mic, please.
Yeah, I was going to say I sound a little soft.
Yep.
I'm also a big Francesa guy. Me and my father, way back when, still listen to him at times. We listened to him and the dog way back when. So I like both Joe and Evan and Francesa.
All right, let me ask you another FAN-related question.
Yes, sir.
If you could pair, either one of you, if you could pair with somebody on the radio station, you're somebody's partner, who are you picking to be your partner and why?
I'll go first on this one. Schmooze. Schmooze, probably. Because he seems like such a character. Some of his monologues at the start of the show, I think it's one of the more infamous nicknames that he has, LaToya Hawkins, when he was here. I was a fan of that one. So if I could pair with him at least once, that'd probably be one of the more enjoyable experiences, I'd say.
I would have to say that I would pair up with the Bull pretty good. I like his style,
I would do that too.
And I just also think that he and I would play off well with each other, because I think he would appreciate some of the ways in which I would talk about sports insofar as it relates to society as a whole. And I think that he would be generous and that there would be a nice give and take with me as far as cultivating a new talent.
All right, Ford, your favorite sports memory.
My favorite sports memory, I've got two, if I could say very quickly. The first being when my dad actually won tickets on WFAN to a Mets game, and I got to sit in fantastic seats and watch Dwight Gooden. I was very young, don't remember it that well, but I remember the energy of the stands. And my other favorite sports memory is just watching John Starks go off in Game 6 in '94.
All right. And you, Casey?
It's kind of an individual memory. I was in first grade. And I struggled. I played basketball my whole life. And I think this was until my third grade, my third to last game playing basketball. I hadn't scored a point the entire season, and my parents finally said, "We'll buy you a pair of Jordans, Jordan 12s, if you finally score a point." And finally, I hit a free throw. I was dismal the entire season. I hit a free throw, and I got a pair of the Jordans. And then the last two games of the season, I scored like a combined 25 points. So I don't know if it was the sneakers or not, but that was probably my favorite sporting memory, or at least my earliest sporting memory, off the top of my head.
All right, Casey, you're the guy who caught Jeter's 3,000th hit, the home run. What are you doing with the ball?
I mean, ethically, I would feel like giving it back, but I mean, after hearing all the IRS stuff recently, I mean, I don't know if the Yankees would help me out with that, so I'm probably going to sell it because I have college loans. Knowing him, I would have the college loans to pay off too, so I'm probably going that route.
Oh, if I caught the baseball, I would take it home and find the top bidder. Definitely sell that, because Derek Jeter doesn't care about me. I don't care about him. I want money. He has money. I need it.
All right, very succinct.
I'm going to Mr. Steiner on that one, having him open his wallet.
All right, let's hear from you guys. First, we start out with Ford with his monologue. Ford, you got 2 minutes on the clock. When you're ready, give it a go.
All right, let's rock. I just want to say that we can all the people listening right now can agree that Jose Reyes is a unique talent that's fast becoming a superstar before our eyes. My biggest problem, my biggest concern as a Mets fan is that we might not re-sign him. But my big concern as a baseball fan is that there are not enough Jose's in the game today. There are not enough people, stars, that people gravitate towards. Arguably right now, Jose Bautista is probably the best player in the game. Most people across the country don't know that much about him or care to watch his games. Let's face it, even though most of the people in this region, especially the people that listen to this radio station, love baseball, it is slipping into the peripheral of the American sports scene. People in this country, they like watching big events, the Super Bowl, the NCAA tournament. Baseball does not have a big cumulative event. It just drags on. See, the beauty of baseball is the minutia of it, but that's also its curse. Compared to the NBA, which has a similar problem as far as single game and lack of single game importance. But the NBA has transcendent athletes that draw eyeballs to the set on a national TV basis. Whenever a big game rolls around and the stars face off, or when the NBA Finals roll around. When the World Series rolls around, nobody really cares that much unless you got a dog in the fight. We're too entrenched in our regional sports rooting interests. Another problem with Major League Baseball is that none of the top athletes today play baseball anymore. Football, basketball, way too alluring. The days of an athlete like Dave Winfield choosing baseball are long gone. I'm sorry, but it's true, folks. Baseball is a game of nostalgia. Sun-drenched days with your dad at the ballpark. The problem is, baseball is a game of nostalgia, and that's all it's got. It's running on fumes of nostalgia. Thank God for the Latin American countries who still have a passion for baseball, where baseball is king. If Jose Reyes was born in this country, he might have become a defensive back.
So my question is, how are you going to fix this problem?
I think it's a unique problem because in certain respects, it breaks down on racial lines. I think part of the reason is that a lot of the young black athletes who happen to sometimes be the best athletes in this country are gravitating towards football and basketball. That's a part of the reason why we have these dwindling African-American numbers in baseball. But another problem is with the white athletes who are put into these niche scenarios, they're coming out like cookie-cutter athletes. They're almost like lacrosse players at this point. I'm not sure exactly how to fix it, but I will say baseball's got an issue as far as pairing up to these other sports on a national TV level.
But as you just said, you haven't come up with a way to fix it.
Well, I'll tell you a way to fix it. One of the things that baseball could do is think about ways in shortening the game. I know that they've tried many ways of doing this, but there has to be a way to make these games a little bit shorter insofar as these pitchers are taking too much time on the mound and things of that nature. If the games were like 2 hours long back in the day, then maybe people would gravitate towards the one. But what I will say also to answer your point more succinctly is I don't think there is an answer.
All right, one of our earlier contestants talked about instant replay in baseball. I guess you would be opposed to that based on the length of the game argument?
One of the things about baseball, the best thing that separates it from other sports is the romanticism of it and the human element. There is no way, if you put instant replay in all the areas that people want to do it in, you're going to further diminish it in as far as its national presence. People go to baseball because they love the fact that you can argue about these umpires and that things do and sometimes don't work. However, I would be in favor in keeping it as far as the home runs, but that would be it.
All right. Which football team do you follow?
Jets, baby, all the way.
All right, so give us 30 seconds on the Giants and what they should do in the next week or 10 days to prepare for the season.
Okay. I think the Giants are a unique position right now as far as the cap is concerned. I think they did a great job of getting that undrafted free agent out of Boston College who seems like he really gravitates to the team, and they really need to shore up their linebacking core. I'm really interested to see what some of these draft picks are going to do as far as Prince Man himself in the defensive backfield. And I think they've got a great receiving core. The big problem with them is going to be seeing what happens to Ahmad Bradshaw. If they lose Ahmad Bradshaw, they're going to have to pick up somebody else who could be comparable. And you still got to wonder about Jacobs. Where's his head at? Exactly what role is he going to play on this team? I think Tom Coughlin is at times, as a previous guy mentioned, an underrated good coach. And I think he'll keep things pretty even. And Eli is a decent quarterback, but it's tricky for them. They're in a bit of a purgatory right now.
How about the O.C. Umanura situation right now?
I mean, I think it's a much ado about nothing, to be honest with you. I think OC is going to fall lock and step and be a key contributor to the team.
All right, thank you very much, Ford. Casey, you are up. The clock reads 2 minutes. Go ahead.
How do you define the term warrior in terms of the context of football? If you ask me, it's a guy who goes out there and busts his tail 110% every time he steps on the gridiron. He's motivated. He goes out there, does everything to get the W. Whatever it is, goes out there to make his teammates better, to get the W night in, night out. Think about guys, recent memory, who resemble these qualities. Guys like Teddy Bruschi, Troy Polamalu. Thank you, sir. Teddy Bruschi, Troy Polamalu in years past. LT, other guys like Klecko here in New York. Then you think about the linebackers in Chicago, Ditka, Butkus, Mike Singletary. Guys, if you're on the offensive side of the football and you look at them the wrong way, chances are you're going to get clocked. But either way, you think about who the Giants signed today, it's a guy who resembles those qualities, a motivated player, a guy who resembles these qualities, a guy from Boston College, excuse me, a guy named Mike Herzlich, a guy who is going to potentially bring these qualities to the Giants and Mark Herzlich. Now, if you know the story, the cancer story, how will he fare going forward? Being that he was a strong defensive player in college, but you have to think about what he brought to the table last year coming off the cancer situation in 2009. Consider this. This was a guy who couldn't even stand in 2009, Mark Herzlich, but he bounces back last year. Forced fumbles, led the team in forced fumbles, led the team in tackles, but he bounces back. But then he doesn't even get drafted. But now the Giants, they give him a second chance. They give him a second chance, just like he fought for his life, gave himself a second chance at life. So now, what will he do? What will he do? He's not going to be the player that he was, or not going to be a player comparable to those aforementioned talents. But what he will bring to the table is that warrior mentality that those other aforementioned players do, and he will light up the Meadowlands, assuming he does go to the Meadowlands in the near future.
Now, he's still an undrafted guy. We know about being sick and stuff. He might not even make the team.
Well, exactly. That's why I said assuming he does end up in the Meadowlands in the near future.
But aren't you pinning your hopes, especially if you're a Giants fan, on an undrafted guy?
Well, exactly. That's why I said assuming he does end up in the Meadowlands in the near future, and you are putting your hopes on a guy like that. What he will bring to the table is a motor like that, a motivated guy who has the potential to be an intense, high-energy player to resemble the likes of a guy like Teddy Bruschi, who came back from adversity. Some of these other guys who came back from adversity like that.
All right, so you mentioned this player who was undrafted. Give us 30 seconds on the actual Giant draft picks and what to expect out of them.
Well, I mean, Prince is going to have to step in a situation where, the Giants' secondary was not great. We heard references to C.C. Brown as well. And you look at the whole Giant salary cap situation as well, these Giants draft picks, and you heard mentions to the Giants linebacker situation. It's going to be a completely different Giants team. With the whole salary cap situation, Soyber and Ahara, they're going to be gone. And those linebackers are obviously, those draft picks, they're obviously going to step up, knowing the predicament that the Giants are in. It's basically the same the same situation with the NFL in general. Every team in the NFL, they're going to be more reliable on the draft picks, knowing the uncertainty of every team in the league right now, not knowing who's going to be on their roster in a few weeks.
Okay, let's move over to the NBA.
Right.
Who the Knicks going to name as their new general manager?
I'm a Knicks fan, and I'd like to believe that it's going to be Allen Houston, but you think off the top of the head, you think of outside sources, maybe it'll be Stefanski, but it's so uncertain right now with everything that's going on in the lockout. I believe it's going to be Allen Houston, just because it's such there's so much uncertainty right now, and obviously no one's talking to one another right now. So if you ask me, I think it's going to be Houston.
All right, Casey, thank you very much.